Archangel Michael says, I have been waiting for 2 hours to tell you this. This is not a joke. A private investigator was caught. Open quickly. What you are about to hear isn't a coincidence. It isn't a random message floating through the air. It's a divine dispatch meant for you in this very hour. Some of you have been crying out for answers, seeking clarity, asking heaven for a sign, and now it arrived. The Archangel of War, of divine justice, of protection, Michael himself, stands at the threshold of your spirit with a declaration. This is not a time to dismiss or delay. It is a moment to lean in and listen, for what's being uncovered has been hidden long enough. Things lurking in secret corners, forces moving against you, unseen influences trying to derail your destiny. They're being exposed, and not just exposed but defeated. The heavens are speaking, and it's your name on the summons. There's something powerful about waiting, not the passive idle kind of waiting, but the divinely orchestrated strategic pause. Many of us, when faced with delays, become anxious, restless, or even angry. We begin to question whether our prayers have been heard, whether our dreams are valid, or whether heaven has somehow misplaced our file. But what we often fail to realize is that divine delays are never accidental. They are purposeful, calculated moments in time where heaven is setting the stage for something greater than we could have planned for ourselves. When Archangel Michael says, I have been waiting for 2 hours to tell you this, it isn't because he was stuck in traffic or distracted. It's a deliberate holding pattern, because the exact moment matters. The spiritual realm operates on precision. Things must align, hearts, circumstances, even opposing forces, for the perfect unveiling, and what feels like a delay to you is in fact divine strategy in motion. Think about it. Throughout Scripture and history, some of the most powerful breakthroughs happened after a waiting period. The Israelites wandered for 40 years before entering the Promised Land. Joseph sat in a prison cell for years before stepping into leadership in Egypt. David tended sheep and dodged spears before he wore the crown. Jesus himself waited 30 years before beginning a public ministry that would only last 3. In each case, those delays weren't wasted time, they were spiritual laboratories where character was forged, enemies were exposed, alliances were formed, and timing was perfected. The modern world teaches us that faster is better. We crave instant results, immediate gratification, and overnight success. But heaven isn't ruled by earthly impatience. The kingdom of God moves with sovereign precision. The reason Archangel Michael would hold back a message, only to release it at a designated hour, is because your soul, your enemies, and your environment needed to reach a tipping point. That moment where your breakthrough won't just be partial, it will be total, undeniable, and irrevocable. Many people misunderstand the nature of spiritual warfare. They think every delay is the enemy's doing, and while the adversary certainly attempts to obstruct, there are moments when it is God himself who places you in a holding pattern, not to frustrate you, but to fortify you, not to deny you, but to position you. There are things that could have arrived too soon and destroyed you because you weren't yet prepared to handle the weight of it. There are doors that could have opened prematurely, only to lead you into rooms filled with vipers you didn't yet have the discernment to recognize. Divine delays aren't divine denials, they are protective pauses. In spiritual terms, timing isn't merely a convenience, it's a weapon. The enemy fears appointed times, because an appointed time comes with an alignment of heaven's forces and a decree of inevitability. When heaven marks a moment, no demon in hell can overturn it. But if you rush ahead of it, you expose yourself to battles you weren't assigned to fight yet. This is why Archangel Michael's message carries urgency. I have been waiting for 2 hours to tell you this, not a minute less, not a minute more. Because now is the time when what has been hidden needs to come to light. Now is the time when strategic alignments are possible. Now is the time when the atmosphere is charged for breakthrough. Imagine a general holding back an army until the enemy moves into a vulnerable position. To an untrained soldier, it might look like hesitation, but to a strategist it's brilliance. You don't attack when it's convenient. You attack when it guarantees victory. The same applies in the spirit. There are moments when God waits for your enemies to overplay their hand, for that private investigator to cross a line, for certain words to be spoken, for hidden plots to overreach, so that when the exposure comes, it leaves no doubt about who orchestrated your deliverance. Even in your personal life, there are delays that you've cursed when you should have blessed them. The job that didn't hire you, the relationship that didn't last, the opportunity that slipped through your fingers. These weren't misfortunes, they were mercies. Divine delays saved you from counterfeit promotions, toxic alignments, and premature platforms. Every delay carried a coded message. Wait. Something better, something safer, something lasting is coming. When Archangel Michael speaks of waiting, it also reveals heaven's investment in your outcome. Heaven isn't careless with your destiny. Angels aren't messengers of randomness. Every word spoken over your life has been weighed, timed, and positioned. The delays you've experienced are because heaven refuses to release anything less than perfect for you. And sometimes, that means holding back a message, a move, or a miracle, until the exact moment it will produce the maximum impact. There's also a dimension of personal preparation in divine delays. You cannot receive what you haven't been conditioned to carry. God's blessings aren't burdens, but if you aren't ready, even a blessing can feel like a curse. The delay allows you to develop the emotional, spiritual, and intellectual maturity necessary to steward what's coming. You needed time to heal from wounds that would have tainted your testimony. You needed time to sever ties with people who couldn't go where you're headed. You needed time to break cycles of self-sabotage. Every minute of delay was infused with purpose. There's another side of this as well. Sometimes heaven delays not because you're unprepared, but because the people connected to your destiny aren't ready. The heart you're meant to touch, the door you're meant to open, the influence you're meant to wield. It often requires others to be in position too, and so, heaven waits. Because God doesn't orchestrate isolated victories, He creates ripple effects. Your breakthrough isn't just about you, it will shift atmospheres, break generational curses, and provoke movements. And for that to happen, everyone involved must be where they're supposed to be. Divine delays also serve to expose imposters. The longer you wait, the more masks slip. People who came close to you with ulterior motives can't sustain their facade indefinitely. Time reveals character, and what felt like a frustrating delay was heaven's way of giving your enemies room to indict themselves. Betrayals are uncovered, plots surface, false loyalties are tested. And when the breakthrough comes, it won't come into a contaminated circle. It will arrive in a purified, fortified environment. Even in the unseen realm, delays function as part of the cosmic chessboard. Angels move, demons counter, assignments shift. There's a spiritual intelligence behind every waiting season. And while you feel the ache of delay, what you don't see is the warfare it prevented. What you don't hear is the intercessions it provoked. What you don't know is the chain of events it set in motion that will make your testimony undeniable. So when Archangel Michael says he's waited, it's not because he was absent, it's because he was working. Waiting is not inactivity in the spirit realm, it's strategy, it's alignment, it's preservation. The message he delivers now carries the weight of a perfectly timed word, and your responsibility is to receive it without resentment for the delay. Recognize that what's arriving now is precisely what you needed, when you needed it. Not early, not late, right on time. Even your prayers have seasons attached to their answers. What you prayed 2 years ago may be manifesting now, because now is when its full potential can be realized. You were heard then, and you're answered now. Because some victories require marination. Some doors need to be built before they can open. Some enemies need to be positioned before they can be exposed. Divine delays create the context for unstoppable victories, and in this hour the delay has ended, the word is being released, the message is clear. The wait was worth it. The appointed time has come. The strategic pause is over. What you've been waiting for is breaking through the veil, because when heaven says move, everything moves. There are dimensions of warfare that remain invisible to the untrained eye. Many battles are fought in realms unseen, where intentions are masked and adversaries operate under the cover of darkness. The spiritual world is not a passive place, it's an active arena where plots are conceived, traps are set, and schemes are woven with precision against those chosen to carry divine purpose. And it's in this secret theater that most of the sabotage against your life has originated. But hear this clearly: nothing remains hidden forever. There comes an appointed time when every covert strategy against you must be brought into the light, when every whisper spoken in back rooms, every alliance formed in the shadows, every assignment sent to derail you, is dragged into exposure by the force of divine justice. When Archangel Michael speaks of a private investigator being caught, it is more than a physical event, it's a spiritual metaphor. The enemy has been sending watchers into your life, people who smile in your presence, but report back to demonic headquarters, entities that mimic friendship, mentorship, even romance, while secretly undermining your progress and mapping your vulnerability. These spiritual informants have been gathering intel on your habits, your fears, your weaknesses, and your plans, all to orchestrate well-timed attacks. But what they failed to account for is that heaven keeps record too. God is not indifferent to your battles. Every hidden move made against you has been seen, documented, and is now being dealt with. Exposure is a violent thing in the spirit. It shatters illusions. It severs alliances. It humiliates the adversary. And in this hour, what was previously invisible is being uncovered. People you trusted who carried dual allegiances are being unmasked. Contracts spoken in secret, words spoken in jealousy, manipulations masked as concern, all of it is surfacing. The ground beneath your enemies is trembling. The covers they hid under are being snatched away, because there's a spiritual law that says what is done in secret must be shouted from the rooftops when the appointed time arrives. You've likely sensed it without fully identifying it: the unease, the suspicion, the feeling that something was off. That's your spirit man picking up on the vibrations of hidden opposition. We are spiritual beings navigating natural circumstances, and while your eyes may not have seen the sabotage, your discernment never lies. Every delay, every sudden betrayal, every strange opposition that made no logical sense, was the manifestation of these secret assignments against you. And for too long you've internalized it as personal failure, when in reality it was spiritual sabotage orchestrated by those threatened by your rising. Heaven is intervening now because the stakes have shifted. There comes a time when your assignment becomes too critical to allow passive opposition to continue. The plans formed against you have matured to a point where intervention is necessary, and so the divine has decreed exposure. Watch as people begin to reveal themselves through slips of the tongue, through inexplicable actions, through confessions driven by guilt or fear. Watch as documents surface, as overheard conversations come back to you, as secrets stumble out of mouths that were once loyal to your enemies. The same mouths that cursed you in secret will involuntarily testify in your defense. This is a season of spiritual transparency. What was murky will become clear. The enemy thrives in ambiguity, because darkness protects his strategies. But light is a weapon, and when heaven decides to turn on the light, no plot, no curse, no generational pattern can remain hidden. The secret text messages, the plotting lunches, the ritualistic words spoken over your name, the false reports sent to sabotage your reputation, all of it is surfacing. Heaven is issuing subpoenas in the spirit. Every enemy, every saboteur, every hidden adversary, is being summoned to the court of divine justice. Even the inner plots, those conceived in the hearts of jealous allies, will be exposed. Because exposure isn't just about public humiliation, it's about liberation. You cannot defeat what you cannot see. And for too long you've been fighting shadows, uncertain of where the attacks originated. That ends now. The clarity you've been praying for is arriving. The fog is lifting. The concealed is becoming visible. This isn't about petty drama or minor offenses. It's about dismantling carefully constructed demonic infrastructures designed to delay, distract, and ultimately destroy your destiny.